let me begin by asking you a few simple questions. Number one, do you have an accountant? Number two, is your accountant a good accountant? Number three, how would you know? Welcome to How to Win Big at Business. I'm your host, Joe DiChiara. I'm a CPA for over 40 years, lifelong entrepreneur, and I created this podcast for self-employed professionals that don't really know. They don't really know. And if you're one of those people, I'm here to help you through that. You see, running a business is tough enough. Running a business without a good accountant is 100 times harder. And I'm not just talking about your tax returns and tax minimization and filing your returns. I'm talking about a business partner, a mentor, somebody that actually helps you with your business, not just your taxes. There are accountants and there are tax preparers. There's a lot of good tax preparers. A tax preparer opposed to an accountant is a tax preparer is somebody that you go to maybe once a year to get your taxes filed. Maybe during the year they're consulting with you. Maybe they're giving you advice. Maybe they're doing some tax planning. And then there's the tax preparers that are really just data entry clerks. That's not really what you need. Yes, you need your taxes done, without a doubt. But what every small business owner needs is guidance, information, teaching, knowledge, knowing what to expect, knowing how to deal with adversity. Because if it's not if you're going to face adversity, it's when. So if you don't have an accountant, I strongly urge you to find one. And I'm going to give you some questions to ask that potential accountant to help you narrow down who you actually want to work with. And if you do have an accountant, the same goes. These questions, well, some of them are going to be the pre-engagement questions, and other questions are during the engagement. You know, what always astounded me about my clients aren't the questions that they ask me, they're the questions that they don't ask me. And I'm going to cover that in this podcast. But before I do that, let me just mention, if you listen to the last podcast, I talked about revamping the whole show and bringing on accountants to tap into other accountants' knowledge and tax preparer strategies. And to be honest with you, I spent a good month trying to find the right people. And so far, what I've come across are typical historian accountants, people that just look back, they're focusing on your taxes, and that's all well and good. Okay. But the kind of accountant that I'm looking for to be on this show are the proactive accountants that actually give guidance to their clients, because that's how I learned how to do accounting. It was the big picture. It wasn't just the historical numbers that we use to compile the financial reports. Those are important, but more important is looking beyond the numbers. How did this get to where it is? In other words, cause and effect. You don't just have sales, something happens before the sale. So here's a couple of questions if you're going to go out and interview for an accountant. And don't give me the excuse that, well, I can't afford an accountant right now, or I'll hire an accountant when I start making money. One of my mentors, one of my coaches, Larry Broughton, always said, if you can't afford an accountant, then you can't afford to be in business. It's one of the biggest mistakes people make. They'll set aside money for marketing, travel, meals, all the other things. But very few people actually set aside money for a good account. So if you're going to be looking for an accountant, there's red flags. For instance, if you call him or her or their office and it's hard to get them on the phone, that's a bad sign. If they have an office and you visit it and it's in shambles, things aren't organized, or the people working for them aren't happy. They're miserable. Bad sign. But let me get into the questions. Let's say you get past that initial, okay, they seem to have their act together. They actually answer the phone. They're available, and that's the most important thing. And yeah, another thing that always killed me is during tax season, most businesses can't get their accountant on the phone, which is ludicrous to me. It's totally ludicrous because that's the most crucial time that they should be available. And what that tells me is that those people don't really know how to run their business. And unfortunately, that's the norm. That's the norm. So you want to make sure that they're responsive. Number one. Number two, some of the questions you should ask them. What kind of software are you using? Are you reconciling my books every month, every quarter? Are you going to be available to go through the numbers with me? Do you do any kind of analysis? Am I going to get reports? How exactly do you enter the transactions? Do you have some intern doing the accounting work? Who exactly is doing it? And how is my information processed? Do you have security standards? How do you protect my privacy? That's extremely important, especially in today's world. There's all kinds of creeps out there trying to steal people's identity. And I would say one of the best places to get that information is from an accounting firm. I mean, let's face it, we have all kinds of information, dates of birth, addresses, your mother's maiden name, everything. Okay. So their security protocol is definitely important. Check out their website. There is information there that has to be in there. Their terms of service, do they have that up there? Is it clear? Is it transparent? Their internet security policy, that has to go on their website. Do they hire offshore people? Which there's no problem with that as long as they have the procedures in place. I hire offshore people. My people are from the Philippines. And there's a good reason for that because I just simply could not find the right kind of people in the United States or any other country for that matter. But that's a whole nother story. There's a whole nother story as far as that goes. But if they are hiring offshore accountants, they have to disclose that to you. You have to get every year, you have to authorize them to allow foreign workers to access your tax information. They have to list what foreign workers have access and the level of access. What happens if you disengage? What's their policy? Do you get your accounting software? Are they just going to give you a PDF file? How long are your tax documents available? These are some of the questions that you need to be asking your accountant. And some of those questions are relevant after you've hired them. In other words, business evolves, the technology has evolved, the last couple of years in quantum leaps. And you need to know exactly how is this firm operating. Let's face it, your taxes could be your biggest expense on your P&L. So yeah, you want to minimize your taxes. That goes without saying. But what kind of accountant are you working with? Are you working with more of a tax preparer, which is fine, but you're going to have to fill that gap. You're going to have to fill that gap with a business coach, a mentor. And what you need is really a team. In order to break through, in order to become extremely successful, it's okay to be a solopreneur, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have a team. And central to that team needs to be not only a good accountant, an excellent accountant. And my definition of an excellent accountant is somebody that's, number one, transparent. Number two is easily available. Number three, they're going to educate you. They're not just going to give you, oh, here's your tax return. What we do with our clients is we review their financial reports with them. And the truth is, not all of them take us up on that offer, which is another thing I don't understand. Okay. So our policy is, listen, every quarter you're going to get a financial report. We encourage you to book a chat with me and your accounting specialist. Every client gets their own accounting specialist. At the end of the year, we ask them to go through their financials before the end of the year. You see, because that's when tax planning is done. That's when all the strategies and last year end, situations that disappear once January 1st hits. You can't do tax planning in February and March. Are they keeping you up to date with any new development? In other words, are they proactive? That's what you need. That's what you want. Now, if any of what I've shared with you here in this podcast resonates with you, let me know. Like the podcast, download it, spread the word, tell your friends about it, because we want to provide information to self-employed professionals that is going to help them succeed, help you succeed. That's my story, folks. I'm sticking with it. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next show. Thank you.